Ever been walking along Brighton Beach and seen those odd, leathery little pouches
Huh.
mixed in with the seaweed?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they might look like nothing much, but they're actually called mermaid's purses. And they're kind of amazing.
They really are. A lot of people probably just walk past them, think they're just rubbish washed ashore,
Yeah.
but they're actually egg cases from sharks, skates, and rays, the ones that lay eggs, obviously.
So today we're doing a deep dive into these things, focusing really on Brighton, because it turns out it's a great spot to find them.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a hot spot.
Think of this as your quick guide to understanding mermaids' purses.
Hmm.
We'll look at why Brighton's good, how you can find them, figure out what they are.
And crucially, how just finding one can actually help with marine conservation.
Exactly. We know you like getting up to speed quickly, getting those aha moments without getting bogged down.
Yeah, finding the fascinating stuff.
So our guide for this is an ebook, Mermaid Purses of Brighton, a guide to finding and conserving shark and ray eggs on the UK coast. It's by Chris Tackless, Merman Conservation Expeditions, just out May 2025.
A really useful resource.
Right. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is a mermaid's purse?
Okay, so fundamentally, it's a protective case for a baby shark or ray.
Like an eggshell.
Sort of, yeah, but much tougher, more leathery. Inside, the embryo develops, and it gets all its food from a yolk sac that's packed in there with it.
Wow. Okay. So it's completely self-sufficient in there.
Pretty much, yeah, until it's ready to hatch.
And I guess they don't all look the same.
No, definitely not. They all have that tough casing, and often they have these tendrils or horns at the corners.
Tendrils. For what?
For anchoring. They wrap around seaweed or wedge into rocks, stops the case getting washed away into, unsuitable places before the little one hatches.
Clever.
Yeah. But the actual shape, the texture, it varies a lot. Some are smooth, some have ridges, some have these things called keels, almost like on a boat.
Keels. Interesting.
Some even feel a bit fibrous. It really depends on the species.
It's kind of incredible, isn't it? That this thing you might just step over on the beach is basically a nursery.
It is. A little window into this whole hidden reproductive cycle happening just offshore.
So why Brighton then? What makes it such a good place to find these?
Well, Brighton's coastline has this great mix of habitats right near the shore. You've got rocky areas, patches of sand, and of course all those pebbles.
Right, the famous pebbles.
Exactly. And that variety means there are lots of different places for egg cases to potentially get caught up when they wash in.
So the landscape helps trap them.
It helps, yeah.
Yeah.
But the big driver is the sea itself, the currents in the English Channel.
Ah.
Especially after storms, strong winds, high seas. That's when cases that have maybe broken free from their moorings underwater get carried in and deposited on the beaches.
So rough weather is actually good for finding them.
For finding the empty cases, yes, definitely. And there are seasonal patterns too. Breeding cycles mean different species might be laying eggs at different times, plus winter storms are more frequent.
And Brighton's location helps too, right? It's near some important spots.
Precisely. It's close to marine protected areas, and those natural chalk reefs offshore are really important habitats.
Chalk reefs. Didn't know about them.
Yeah, they're fantastic ecosystems. They support a good diversity of sharks and rays. Things like thornback rays, nursehounds, small spotted cat sharks, they're all known to be in the area.
The ones that lay these purses.
The very ones. And Brighton's just really accessible, isn't it? Easy for people to get to the beach, which makes it ideal for citizen science.
Citizen science. We'll definitely come back to that.
Yeah, it's key.
Okay, so we know what they are. Why Brighton? If someone listening wants to, actually go and look, what's the plan? When should they go? How do they search?
Right. Timing is pretty important. Generally, your best bet is late autumn through to early spring.
Winter months, basically.
Yeah. More storms, as we said. Plus, you often get lower tides then, exposing more of the beach.
Low tide. Got it.
And the ideal time is right at low tide, especially if there's been strong wind or heavy rain recently. That's when fresh stuff gets washed up.
Okay, low tide after a storm. And where on the beach should you focus?
The strand line. That's the line of seaweed and other bits and pieces left behind by the last high tide.
The high water mark.
Exactly. Egg cases often get tangled up in all that seaweed.
So you just rummage through the seaweed.
Carefully, yeah. You need to look quite closely, move slowly. They can be partly buried or really well camouflaged. They look a lot like dried seaweed sometimes.
Patience required then.
Definitely. It's a bit like a treasure hunt.
Any gear that helps.
A few simple things can be useful, maybe a bucket or a mesh bag for finds, a notepad or your phone to record what you see.
Good idea.
Gloves can be handy if you're sorting through damp seaweed. And definitely your phone or a camera to take pictures.
Pictures for ID later.
Exactly. Oh, and it helps to give them a quick rinse in a rock pool or the sea if you find one, gets the sand off and shows the features better.
Right. Anything we need to be careful about. Ethically, I mean.
Yes, absolutely. Respect the environment, obviously. Don't disturb nesting birds or anything. And crucially, never take a live animal.
And that includes egg cases.
If an egg case feels firm, maybe a bit heavy, and looks fresh, not dried out or torn, it might still have a live embryo inside. Best to leave those where they are or gently pop them back in the sea, maybe tucked into some seaweed in a pool if possible. Only collect the empty, dried out ones.
Okay, that's really important. So respect the living, collect the empty cases.
Spot on.
Right then, we found one, an empty one. Now, the really cool part, figuring out what creature laid it. How do we do that?
Ah, yes, the identification. This is where it gets fascinating and where your find becomes really valuable data.
So what are the common ones we might find around Brighton?
Okay, well, one of the most common is the small spotted cat shark. Some people call them dogfish.
Okay, cat shark. What's its case like?
It's quite small, sort of rectangular. And the key thing is it usually has long, thin, curly tendrils at each corner, often pale yellow and fresh, but they go brownish when dry.
Long curly tendrils. Got it.
What else? Then there's the nurse hound, bit bigger than the cat shark.
Bigger case?
Yeah, noticeably larger, often darker too, more olive brown. And its tendrils are usually thicker and maybe a bit straighter, more robust than the cat shark's curly ones.
Okay, bigger, darker, thicker tendrils. Nurse hound? Makes sense.
Exactly. Then you move on to the rays or skates. The thornback ray is common.
Thornback ray. What's its signature?
Their cases are more boxy, squared off. And instead of long tendrils, they have short, stubby horns at the corners. The case walls feel quite thick and often have a rough, textured surface.
Boxy, short horns, rough texture. Okay.
Then there's the undulate ray. Its case is a bit similar to the thornbacks, maybe slightly larger, but the key feature is it has these ridges, called keels, running along the length of the case.
Ah, the keels you mentioned earlier.
That's the one. And finding undulate ray cases is particularly important because they're a protected species.
Good to know. Any others?
You might find spotted ray cases. They tend to be smaller than the thornback or undulate and quite smooth. Honestly, they can sometimes look just like a bit of debris or seaweed if you're not looking carefully.
Smaller and smoother. Okay, that's quite a range. Might be tricky at first.
It can be, yeah. Practice helps. But there are brilliant resources out there. The Shark Trust has an excellent ID guide on their website.
Oh, brilliant.
And they even have a mobile app you can use right there on the beach. Really handy.
An app. Perfect.
Yeah. And sometimes just using a little magnifying glass can help you spot those details, the texture, the shape of the horns or tendrils.
Great tips. So we found a case, maybe even ID'd it using the app. What's next? How do we make this count for science?
This is the citizen science part. It's so valuable. Every single recorded find adds a data point.
So what details do we need to record?
Okay, ideally, the species, if you can tell, the date and the time you found it. The exact beach location, GPS coordinates from your phone are fantastic if you can get them.
Okay, species, date, time, location.
Also, the condition. Was it fresh looking, old and dry, damaged? And maybe a quick note about where you found it high on the strand line, tangled in specific seaweed, lots of storm debris around. Context helps.
Right. And where does this information go?
The main place to send it in the UK is the Shark Trust. They run the Great Egg Case Hunt.
The Great Egg Case Hunt. Love it.
It's a fantastic project. You can submit your records through their website. They have online forms or use their app or even just email them the details. Very straightforward.
Easy to contribute then.
Definitely.
And what do the scientists do with all this data that people send in?
It's incredibly useful. They use it to build up maps of where different species are found. It helps them understand distribution patterns.
Like species hotspots.
Exactly. And crucially, it can help identify important nursery areas, places where sharks and rays are laying lots of eggs. Those areas might need special protection.
Ah, so it feeds into conservation decisions.
Directly. The data supports proposals for marine protected areas, for example. And photos are really helpful, too. They help the experts verify the identification.
So taking a picture is important.
Very much so. It backs up the record.
It really is amazing that a walk on the beach can lead to that.
It is. And it's so important because, well, sharks and rays aren't doing so great globally.
Oh, I know. Lots of threats.
Huge threats. Overfishing is the big one, but also habitat loss, pollution. Many species in UK waters are now listed as vulnerable or even endangered.
So tracking these egg cases is like taking their pulse, in a way.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. It helps monitor populations. Are they declining in certain areas? Are they showing up somewhere new? It can be an early warning system for environmental changes, too.
Like impacts from climate change.
Potentially, yes. If a species range seems to be shifting, the egg case data can help show that over time. All this information, collected by people like you out walking the dog or exploring the coast,
Just regular people.
it helps scientists build a case for better protection, for sustainable fishing rules, for policies that really make a difference. Even just one reported egg case adds to that big picture of ocean health.
That's really empowering. It's not just finding something interesting, it's contributing.
Absolutely.
So are there ways to, like, get more involved, connect with other people doing this?
Oh, definitely. There's a really enthusiastic community growing around egg case hunting. It's quite infectious.
Could you imagine?
You could combine it with other activities like organize a beach clean, but also look for egg cases at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Good shout.
Getting schools or local nature groups involved is brilliant too. It's such a hands-on thing. Kids especially find them fascinating. Great tactile learning.
Yeah, much better than just pictures in a book.
Totally. You could even offer to lead a guided walk on your local beach, show people what to look for, or maybe give a little talk to a community group.
Spread the word.
Exactly. Interactive displays at local events work well. Some people even make art inspired by them. And collaborating with local aquariums or conservation groups is always a good idea.
Lots of possibilities.
And don't forget social media. Share photos of your finds. Use the hashtags like #GradedCaseHunt, tag the Shark Trust. It all helps raise awareness.
Great ideas. Now, one more thing from the ebook, this hydrating and dehydrating business. Why would you do that?
Ah, right. Yeah, sometimes when you find an empty case, it's really dried out, maybe flattened or curled up.
Makes it hard to see the shape properly.
Exactly. Especially things like those keels on the undulate ray case, or subtle textures. Hydrating it, basically soaking it in water, can help it plump up and return to something closer to its original 3D shape.
Ah, I see. Makes ID easier.
Much easier sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's also good if you want to preserve it for, say, an educational display. It shows the structure better.
So how do you hydrate one? Just soak it.
Pretty much. Get a little tub, use some seawater if you're at the beach, or just mix up some salt water at home. Pop the dry case in, leave it for a few hours, maybe overnight. You'll see it gradually swell up.
Cool. And dehydrating. Is that just for storing them?
Yeah, mainly. Once you've hydrated it, looked at it, photographed it, recorded it, if you want to keep it long term, you need to dry it out again properly.
How do you do that?
Just take it out of the water, gently pat it dry with a paper towel or cloth, and then leave it somewhere warm and airy to air dry completely. Not in direct sun, though. That can make it brittle again.
Okay, air dry. Got it.
Once it's fully dry, it's much more stable for storing or displaying.
That's actually really useful to know, both for checking features and for keeping finds. But one really crucial point here, right?
Yes, absolutely critical. Never try to hydrate a case that you think might be live.
The ones we said to leave alone or put back in the sea.
Exactly. This technique is only for the empty, washed-up cases you're collecting for identification or education. Live ones stay in the ocean.
Understood. Only hydrate the empties.
Please.
So, wrapping this up,
Mm-hmm.
it's clear these mermaids' purses we find on Brighton's beaches, they're not just beach detritus at all.
Not even close. They're like little messages from a world we don't often get to see. Each one tells a story.
And by becoming a citizen scientist, just by looking, identifying, and reporting what you find, you, the listener, can actually make a difference for sharks and rays.
A tangible difference.
Yeah.
Your observations feed directly into conservation work.
It really taps into that desire for discovery, doesn't it? Those aha moments.
Yeah.
And you end up genuinely learning something significant, engaging with nature in a really positive way.
And it absolutely does. It connects you to that marine environment right on your doorstep.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe.
Yeah.
Think about all that life teeming just beyond the waves, mostly unseen by us. If these small, leathery cases washing ashore can tell us so much, what other hidden stories is the tide bringing in? just waiting for us to notice and understand.